Professional at work. I got my start at CFCC, and you can too. Visit cfcc.edu/medical assisting and get started today.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. We have new information about alleged problems at Novant Health New Hanover Regional Medical Center. Multiple sources from within the hospital say a patient died in their waiting room after waiting several hours for help. According to both patients who were there that night and emergency department healthcare workers, that patient died in Novant's waiting room on June 6th. One woman who was admitted due to an injury says she sat next to a woman in her 70s for 4 or 5 hours. As the patient waited, she watched as the woman's loved one walked back and forth to the front desk, begging for help. She says when she glanced over nearly 5 hours into the night, the woman had died. A hospital employee tells us the state is investigating. Novant has not responded to multiple requests for comment, and DHHS says to get that information, we will need to file a public records request, which we have. The third National PFAS Conference kicks off later today in Wilmington. Gen X was first discovered 5 years ago in Wilmington's drinking water when researchers from NC State and the Environmental Protection Agency started looking into the problem. Organizers say the conference series is designed to exchange information, support PFAS-affected communities, and help coordinate efforts among diverse sectors to speed up protection of community health and the environment. And Governor Roy Cooper has signed 3 bills into law, including 2 we've been following over the last few weeks. One new law increases arson punishments. Another makes changes to state laws governing captive insurance companies, which are subsidiaries of a parent company that is being insured. The third new law alters the state's Controlled Substances Act so that a drug containing marijuana or THC automatically becomes lawful in North Carolina if the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approves the drug. The change does not legalize marijuana for general use. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Get ready for another hot one, but not as hot as it was on Tuesday. Highs away from the coast will climb into the low 90s, still remaining a bit on the humid side as well, so heat index values will get into the middle and perhaps the upper 90s away from the coast. Coastal areas will get into the low to middle 80s, very comfortable along the beaches today, and as we head towards the overnight hours tonight, our temperatures fall to the low to middle 70s under mostly clear skies. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
The Wilmington Cape Fear Home Builders Association serves as the advocate for the building industry, advancing professionalism and promoting community involvement. We are a positive force for responsible growth while protecting property rights and the privilege of home ownership. 3 out of every 5 jobs is touched in some manner by construction in our region. Growth generates jobs, maintains our property values, and builds and updates our infrastructure. Join us Friday mornings for the Construction Connection with the Wilmington Cape Fear Home Builders Association and the Big Talker FM.
I am State Farm Agent Rob Renz, and I want to help you get to a better place. Visit us online at ilminsurance.com. That's ilminsurance.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Folks, the sad truth of it is most of what we're seeing in the news cycle is just noise, and it's recycled noise at that. Nothing informative, nothing that actually helps us discern the times that we live in. That's why we started doing Herd Tell. Every morning right here on Big Talker Network, 7 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m., we talk and discuss the issues of the day, culture and politics with knowledgeable guests, no yelling, no caterwauling, just grown folk talk about the issues that matter. Join me, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning for Herd Tell.
Hey kids, that's right, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network. Please visit the website at bigtalker.live. That's where you can find the schedule of our content. And there's an email, so you can send us any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, or compliments, because we can't improve without your help. And also download the app for Android and iOS devices. I promise you will love it. It is a way of life. Ha! Welcome back to the Asylum. Yes, it's kind of exciting, actually. Did a show last night for All Things Brunswick. For those of you that were here, it was really cool. For the dorks like me that were hanging out in the back room, it was really cool. Oh, that's why. Okay. It was a challenge. It was unusual. And better than that, it worked. It worked well. It was really cool. I liked it. And Dan Romand was there. He will be joining us in about a half hour. Apparently, he has a summer-themed surprise conversation for me. I'm not sure. And we'll get to that in a minute. Hopefully, we will also be joined by Dr. Larry Cahoon of the Cape Fear Riverwatch. I'm not sure what his conversation is going to be about, but I have a feeling it's going to have something to do with the 3rd National PFAS Conference. It kicks off later today. I don't know if this is really the type of conference you want to use that type of, hey, the 3rd National PFAS Conference kicks off. Get your t-shirts, get your signatures, and get your frappes. No, this is not that kind of convention. This is the kind of convention where people should be saying, stop poisoning me. Gen X, according to this, was first discovered 5 years ago in Wilmington's drinking water when researchers from NC State and the Environmental Protection Agency started looking into the problem. Organizers say the conference series is designed to exchange information, support PFAS-affected communities, and help coordinate efforts among diverse sectors to speed up protection of community health and the environment. Oh, that's a pretty little paragraph, isn't it? This is not, they need another name for this, right? Because the name convention has been hijacked to mean, have you ever been to a comedy, comic book convention, or not a comedy convention, or a Star Trek convention, or, North American Music Merchants Convention? Those are fun. This one doesn't sound like fun. Right? It's not like they're going to have elephant ears or, even at the NRA convention, they had little target things you could shoot at anyway. There's going to be a conference kicking off later today in Wilmington. The 3rd National PFAS, however you want to refer to it, none of it's good. All of it's bad. And it's coming to and from Wilmington, right? The convention is coming here, but all the information is coming from Wilmington because nobody else seemed to give a damn except for the Cape Fear Riverwatch. So they went out of their way, fired up some lawsuits, pissed off some people, and here we are. We are still looking into... Oh, you silly goose. We're also looking into the anatomy of a grand jury, hoping to get some information, maybe a little insight, because it seems rather ludicrous that the state of North Carolina went through all this crap because of convening a grand jury. By the way, convene is the base of convention, so convening a grand jury would be one of the earliest PFAS conventions, if you want to get technical about it. But anyway, convening of a grand jury was a failure. Why that happened, we need to find out. That was a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of wasted effort that came up short at the end of the day, when we should have had, more than enough to slam dunk this case right into the toilet, but no. Nope, that's not how it went. Oh, hey, just because we're a little early, and it's early, there's a fun Asylum-worthy story. I gotta find it again. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, here it is. Coming from New York Post, Ben Cost. Parents mortified after son poops in the store's display toilet. A very big poo. Thankfully, they made the best of a crappy situation. A 4-year-old UK boy made a huge splash on social media after hilariously pooping in the display toilet at an appliance store, leaving his poor parents to clean up the mess. A Facebook post detailing the fecal faux pas currently boasts more than 26,000 shares and 16,000 reactions. I can't quite believe what's happening, the naughty tot's mom, Carolyn Akhtar, wrote of the catastrophe, which occurred Saturday morning at home supply store B&Q in Glastonbury. The mortified mother was reportedly shopping for a washing line for her with her partner Aaron, along with their 4-year-old son Jacob and daughters Frankie 3 and Eliza 1. However, calamity struck after the parents turned their backs and little Jacob sat down on one of the one of the store's display toilets to heed and answer nature's call. Upon noticing the smelly situation unfold, Carolina ran over to tell the indiscriminate defecator to get off in order to avert disaster, per Facebook post. The look on the poor man's face as he's doing the doggy do removal. Oh, look, they even posted on Facebook with a picture that says, Jay has taken a very big poo in one of B&Q display toilets. However, it was poo late, as by that time, Jacob had taken a very big poo in the show throne. Carolyn subsequently went to the car to get wipes and came back to him, still sat on there because he needed to finish. Hubby didn't know what else to do. Yeah, go ahead. He was still on the toilet, so I proceeded to help wipe his bum still and explain about the toilets and shops are not actual toilets. The humiliated mother told NeedToKnow.com after little Jacob had done his business, Father Aaron was forced to fish the poop out of the toilet. Accompanying the photos shows little Jacob on the display toilet with his pants around his ankles, as well as Aaron fishing the excrement out of the potty with a plastic bag around his hand like a dog owner. Yeah, you thought having pets would be fun. Thankfully, the store staff didn't make us think about it. The young shop assistant couldn't stop laughing, but also completely ignored the situation. Don't blame the lad, Carolyn wrote on Facebook, and while initially horrified, the mad pooper's parents have come to see the funny side of a crappy situation. What's funny is he's wearing a mask, and it's just not working for the purpose intended. At first, we were mortified, but then we found it funnier and funnier. I quick-paced back to the car park to get wipes and nappy bags and couldn't stop laughing then. She added, he said his sister Frankie said he could use it. Eliza was oblivious to it all and happy just playing on the toilets. The public pooping incident spawned similar reactions on Facebook, with one newfound fan writing, "This has made my day." When you gotta go, you gotta go. Said another amused one, dryly observed, well, at least he's potty trained. In September, New York City infant redefined baby shower after hilariously taking a whiz while getting baptized. So, kids. Love them, hate them, gotta have them. Yep, they don't come with a refund or a manual. Yep. And as every, new parent will tell you, like, when you first start the process of changing diapers, because when it's somebody else's kid, you can just hand it over and say, hey, you gotta do the thing, right? But when it's your own child and it's like, oh, I don't want to get sprayed, you learn tricks, right? And, yeah, it's a little weird. And then getting through that whole process, hopefully by the time they're 7, you got it all figured out until you're 70, and then it's all going in reverse. But yeah, if next time you take your kids to the store, pay a little closer attention. There's a number of stories here that, Keith, I'm sorry, dude, I was ahead of you by a day. We already told you about the 100 cockroaches from the North Carolina bug company wants to release roaches into your home. I still question that. I'm like, why don't you just come here and count the ones I got and then see what happens, right? You already know. And of course, if you train them, you'd be like, hey, all 50 of you. No, I'm kidding. Whoa. What a rush. This was an unexpected good news story that I shall share. Oh yeah, I do have to do that, don't I? You're going to have to give me a minute. Minneapolis woman was about to be evicted. The neighbors bought her home for her. How's that for wicked? The community raised $275,000 to buy Linda Taylor's house, where she has lived for nearly 20 years. Story is by Sydney Page. I'm still waiting for my other computer to catch up with me. Thank you. Look at that. So nice of you to join us. And now you're going to be difficult. Of course you are. Because it's not Monday. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Gotta love it. All right. We'll get to the $275,000 house in just a moment. There we go. Let me in. There we go. I appreciate that. That's helpful. Very, very helpful. Or it was until that happened. All right. Crap. All right. This is coming out of the Washington Post by Sydney Page. Linda Taylor was given 2 months' notice from her landlord to vacate the Minneapolis home she has proudly called home for nearly 2 decades. It felt like the world had been pulled from under me, said Taylor, 70 years old. My house means everything to me. She initially owned the house, but she sold it when she fell prey to a real estate deal she didn't understand, and has rented the home for about 15 years. Whoops. Earlier this year, Taylor received an unexpected notice from her landlord to leave her white stucco home in Powderhorn Park neighborhood just a few miles south of downtown by April 1. Her landlord wanted to sell the house and was asking $299,000, a sum Taylor could not afford. I could not sleep, I could not eat, said Taylor, who lives alone in the 2-bedroom house. I felt really defeated. She worked at a local nonprofit organization for nearly 3 years before she was laid off during the coronavirus pandemic. She lost her paycheck but continued paying rent, about $1,400 a month, using her savings, money from family and government subsidies, including Rent Help MN, a program started during the pandemic to aid Minnesotans at risk of losing housing. When Taylor's landlord, Greg Barrent, told her to vacate, it was like a stone had just dropped on me. He said he would evict her if she didn't buy the home or leave, she said. Barrett declined an interview request from the Washington Post when reached by phone. Taylor said that despite her distress, she was determined to stay. I'm going to do something about it, Taylor remembered telling herself. This is my house. She decided to share her struggle with Andrew Falstrom, 41, who lives across the street and works professionally as a housing rights organizer. Since he moved into the neighborhood 6 years ago with his partner, he and Taylor have built a strong rapport. Oh, I gotta put this thing away. There we go. That's why it's not working. There we go. Get a little work started here. Eh? That's what I thought. Come on, catch up with me. There we go. There we go. Look at that. It looks like we got something going on here. All right. She has always been the one in the neighborhood who greets everyone. He contacted neighbors to see what they could do to help Taylor. Given his line of work, Falstrom knew Taylor's story was not unique, particularly as the local housing market has skyrocketed in recent years, unlike here in Wilmington. So many people are losing housing right now, he said. If we actually believe housing is a right, then we need to act like it, because the next stop is homelessness. As word of the grassroots campaign to save Taylor's home spread around the block, neighbors were eager to help. People listened to what Miss Linda was saying and wanted to do something. It was such a clear and compelling story that everyone rallied for her, Falstrom said. According to Taylor, she originally bought the house in 2004, but she started falling behind on payments and felt she was tricked into signing the house back over to the previous owner, who allowed her to stay on as a renter in 2006 after her landlord was caught in a mortgage fraud scheme which affected more than 45 homes, including hers. Barrett purchased the house. He raised her rent twice during the pandemic, Taylor said, and let repairs and maintenance issues linger. Several times over the years, Taylor, who has 5 children, 9 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, went to social services and applied for programs and grants geared towards renters who want to buy their homes. Every time I tried to buy it, I ran into a ton of different walls, Taylor said, adding that although she knew my children would always support me, they were not in a position to offer significant financial help. Her neighbors empathized with her predicament. This is a person who has been paying for housing for 18 years. Her rent has gone to pay the property taxes, other people's mortgages, the insurance, and supposed repairs as well, Falstrom said. There needs to be more systemic intervention so that people can stay in their homes. The Powderhorn Park community decided it would not allow their neighbor to be displaced. The group was well equipped to mobilize on Taylor's behalf. We have an active local neighborhood group because we're within 2 blocks of George Floyd Square, Falstrom said, adding that the 2020 protests over Floyd's murder by a police officer brought the community closer. The infrastructure was there. The communication line was there. The neighborhood relationships were there. Organizers sent a letter to the landlord urging him to wait on eviction and start negotiations with Taylor so she could buy the house. It was signed by about 400 neighbors and hand-delivered to Barrett in February. The plea worked. Barrett said Taylor could continue renting with an opportunity to purchase the home by June 30. He lowered the sale price to $250,000, still out of reach, and it became a fundraising effort instead of an eviction defense effort. Neighbor Julia Eagles was at the forefront of the initiative. I don't want anyone getting displaced or priced out of the community, she said. We all believed collectively that we were going to do what it takes to keep Miss Linda here. So many people know and love this woman. Taylor is known for the little free library on her front lawn, which she keeps brimming with books, as well as her regular volunteer work around the community. They call me the mayor, Taylor joked. The community members organized fundraising efforts, including a block party, social media campaigns, and an art show in which Taylor, who enjoys painting, sold some of her artwork. Local media covered the story, drawing even more attention. Organizers created a campaign site and a fundraising page, bringing in donations in amounts of $5,000 to $15,000. A local church gave the largest sum, $200,000, carrying the effort to the finish line. When that came through, my faith grew bigger than a mountain, Taylor said. In just 4 months, the people of Powderhorn Park raised $275,000 for Taylor, enough to buy her home and cover repairs. Any additional funds will go towards utility payments. Taylor said she is stunned by the support. I knew my neighbors loved me, but I didn't know how much, she said. By May 31, 1 month ahead of her landlord's deadline, Taylor closed on her home after nearly 20 years. The house was finally hers. When it's yours, it gives you a different type of feeling, Taylor said. I'm safe, I'm secure, and I have a home. She plans to continue hosting backyard barbecues, movie nights, and lemonade stands with her grandchildren, and she is determined to pay the kindness forward. I'm here to help the next person and the next person and the next person, she said. To celebrate the neighborhood-wide win, there will be a block party on June 25. It's been an amazing journey, and it continues on. That's unique that we have a good news story that doesn't go sideways as quickly as others. So as we approach the bottom of the hour, as promised, we have Dan Romand on deck. I'm sure we will be embarrassed at some level by his appearance. I'm not sure what he has in store for us, but I guarantee it will be different than last night. Last night we were all blown away. Ha ha, get it? Blown away. No, you don't get it. But you will when we come back, because the Asylum... Oh, look, see, missed the cue. There we go, the Asylum. We'll be right back after these messages. And, of course, the news break from our friends at WWAY. Please don't go nowhere. The Asylum be right back.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. We have new information about alleged problems at Novant Health New Hanover Regional Medical Center. Multiple sources from within the hospital say a patient died in their waiting room after waiting several hours for help. According to both patients who were there that night and emergency department healthcare workers, that patient died in Novant's waiting room on June 6th. One woman who was admitted due to an injury says she sat next to a woman in her 70s for 4 or 5 hours. As the patient waited, she watched as the woman's loved one walked back and forth to the front desk, begging for help. She says when she glanced over nearly 5 hours into the night, the woman had died. A hospital employee tells us the state is investigating. Novant has not responded to multiple requests for comment, and DHHS says to get that information, we will need to file a public records request, which we have. The third National PFAS Conference kicks off later today in Wilmington. Gen X was first discovered 5 years ago in Wilmington's drinking water when researchers from NC State and the Environmental Protection Agency started looking into the problem. Organizers say the conference series is designed to exchange information, support PFAS-affected communities, and help coordinate efforts among diverse sectors to speed up protection of community health and the environment. And Governor Roy Cooper has signed 3 bills into law, including 2 we've been following over the last few weeks. One new law increases arson punishments. Another makes changes to state laws governing captive insurance companies, which are subsidiaries of a parent company that is being insured. The third new law alters the state's Controlled Substances Act so that a drug containing marijuana or THC automatically becomes lawful in North Carolina if the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approves the drug. The change does not legalize marijuana for general use. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Trajectory forecast. Get ready for another hot one, but not as hot as it was on Tuesday. Highs away from the coast will climb into the low 90s, still remaining a bit on the humid side as well, so heat index values will get into the middle and perhaps the upper 90s away from the coast. Coastal areas will get into the low to middle 80s, very comfortable along the beaches today, and as we head towards the overnight hours tonight, our temperatures fall to the low to middle 70s under mostly clear skies. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
Our founders expected judges to apply, not make, our laws. I'm Trey Allen, conservative candidate for the North Carolina Supreme Court. More than 20 years ago, I began my legal career by joining the Marine Corps and taking an oath to support and defend the United States Constitution. As a justice on our state Supreme Court, I will continue to protect the Constitution by basing my rulings on the Founders' intent, not my personal views. Paid for by Trey Allen for Justice.
Hey, I'm Yael Osowski.
And I'm David Clement.
We're the host of Consumer Choice Radio, broadcasting every Saturday at 10 a.m. here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Consumer Choice Radio is a weekly conversation featuring the latest news, interviews, and expert analysis that covers consumer topics from around the world.
ConsumerChoiceRadio.com.
Join Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to program whenever you want, however you want by asking for Big Talker.
Hey, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. As creepy and cryptic as it may seem, it isn't really. In fact, we have other human beings involved in the entire process. But before we get there, please visit the Big Talker website, bigtalker.live. Download the app for Android and iOS devices. And send us an email with any compliments, critiques, comments, questions, or concerns you may have. We cannot improve without your help. And of course, as promised, I'm going to send it over to our friend. Well, I can't. That's there's so many things I can no longer say because I now know that precedent has been set for sexual harassment. So, how are you doing, Dan?
Well, you are guilty of it. I'm good, TK. How are you?
I am not guilty of sexual misconduct.
And by the way, I have the app on my phone, and I send it through my Bluetooth to my car. I was listening to it on the way down last night to do the show.
Isn't that handy?
Brunswick.
Isn't that handy?
Awesome.
And you can drive out of the state and still receive it. It's really cool.
Yeah, well, you could drive into the ocean if you wanted to and still receive it as long as you had internet.
Yeah, as long as you got a good connection.
Yeah, I was actually listening to it on the way down. One of our old shows of all things. But so I have an interesting thing I wanted to kind of run by you today.
Yeah?
I did something really, really bad yesterday, and I want to make a full confession to the world.
Is this before the show or after the show we did?
This was before the show. I mean, it was horrific what I did.
Ooh.
Do you want to know what I did?
I'm going to guess didn't eat your vegetables.
Well, I did eat a fruit.
That's not a vegetable.
You ready? I ate watermelon.
Yeah, see, the first one.
Sorry, I had to throw that sound effect in there on you.
That was
And by the way, they can't copyright claim you on that. That's a free one. So, by the way, we do fun stuff like that on the podcast we do on Fridays. There's a shameless plug. Now, the reason I bring it up, so I was actually eating watermelon yesterday. And the reason I did is I actually went and got one because the day before, Monday, I was out on the interwebs and on TikTok, you know, that wealth of wonderful information that's on there. There was, I'm going to call her Six Pack Sally on there because, you know, I don't want to get banned from TikTok again.
Is this six pack abs or six pack of Budweiser?
Six pack abs.
Okay.
I mean, not going to lie. She's fit. She's gorgeous. Beautiful woman. But she was going on about how watermelon will literally kill you.
Well, yeah. Anything water. You do realize that 100% of the people who drink water die. 100%. Every last person who drinks water dies.
Or any liquid for that matter. But
so
yeah,
don't try to tell me water is good for you. That's just
only when it's placed inside caramel sugary confections with it,
or whiskey,
or hops and
right.
barley.
See,
and
or when it's with ground coffee beans. You're getting it.
Now that's healthy, right? So speaking of which,
water by itself is a bad idea, but water with anything else except melon.
So yeah, I mean, watermelon is like 4% water. So I mean, her whole video, and this went, I don't know, it was under a minute. So let's call it a minute. She just railed about how, one, it makes you fat. which it doesn't.
Watermelon?
Watermelon.
You're not supposed to swallow the seeds.
It's got sugar in it, TK.
Well,
There's
yeah.
sugar in it. There's fructose in it. And she had this scientific survey she was quoting, which I went and looked up, and it was laughable.
Tell me it was written by Marjorie Taylor Greene.
No, that would have been a better one than this one. Because, if you know where to go look, you can find the actual studies, not what the media is reporting. And when you read the studies, which if you ever have trouble falling asleep, go read a study like that. When you get to the end of it, they always have the conclusions. And in there, basically, the study was saying watermelon's fine, but here's some issues to be aware of. It wasn't a negative towards watermelon at all. It was more a case of, it's got these properties, blah, blah, blah. But she had run with it, as people like that do. Influencers, is that the term for them? Or the media, for that matter, right? Because the media could pick up on a study like this. One of the local TV stations, if you ever watch, they have their health minute, and they'll find this new study says blah, blah, blah. The thing is with those new studies is they're not peer reviewed. They're not double blind. They're just studies. And you can buy and pay for a study to say whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
I
believe ChemWars has been doing that for decades. I could be wrong.
GE up north with the PCBs, which I'm still trying to figure out what the difference between a PCB and the other one is. I think they're the same thing. But anyway, it kind of harkens back to, I don't know if you remember this or if you're even aware of it. Somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 years ago, this guy bought a study on how chocolate was like the miracle weight loss product, right? And how it was terrific for you and blah, 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 blah. And then he ended up going on lots of these TV shows. I know he was on the Today Show when he revealed that it was completely made up. It was a phony study. He had completely made the whole thing up. And I think it's still on YouTube. You could go look for it. Just look up Today Show and chocolate study or something like that. And you could see the hosts just look at him like with death ray eyes because he made utter fools of them. And that's really where I wanted to go today is when you hear people quote studies like that, you got to really listen to them carefully. And then go look at the actual studies. The woman Monday about watermelon. Now, could you eat so much watermelon that it would kill you? Yes, but in theory. But your stomach's probably not big enough. And where she was going with it is because it's so much water, it'll overload and waterlog your body and kill you that way.
I think that's called drowning.
No one.
I've never drowned in a watermelon.
You'd probably have to eat, and I'm making a guess here. I have no science behind this. Probably 10 to 15 large watermelons to get to that point.
Without going to the relief room, like
exactly. It's like people say you can die from drinking too much water. I think you kind of just said that.
Yeah,
but you were joking. But there are people that legitimately believe if you have instead of 8 glasses of water, if you have 10, you're going to die from it. And again, can you? Yes, you can. But 10 glasses of water is not going to do it.
Your body's not going to let you. Right? I mean,
you have to work to do that. Exactly right.
My dad was a doctor, and he was also a bit of a jack. Anyway, and I remember once I was mad, and I held my breath, and he's like, "Go ahead." He didn't even budge. He's like, "Your body is not going to let you." And I didn't understand it at the time, and it was like all of a sudden.
Your body kind of lets you know. Yeah.
Right. If you take in too many bananas, for example, part of your body might have if ever you're bored, and I recommend doing this because even if you're not bored, look for Chubby Emu on YouTube. He's a doctor who...
I'm writing that one down.
Chubby Emu. CHUBBYEMU. And he will take you through cases that appear at the emergency room and how it got there. This is the guy that I learned about potassium and sodium affecting muscle muscle contractions, etc. And in the case that I learned it was actually I think it was a heart muscle, where it's an involuntary muscle. You don't get to tell your heart when to beat, but if you don't have enough potassium, the heart can't relax, and it ends up just sitting there vibrating in place, not pushing blood anywhere. So learning that, through Chubby Emu has pointed out a number of situations where somebody will go to an extreme, like, hey, these antacids are really good, and they ate 3 bottles of them inside of an hour. And the body did everything it could to reject that. But
somebody actually did that?
Yeah, oh yeah. These stories are amazing.
I've heard some usually the ones I hear about emergency rooms are people placing things in areas where they don't belong. How's that?
My dad was, when he was a medic, had to remove a cue ball from a Marine's mouth.
That I've heard about. I've heard of that.
But the thing is, it's so common. He had to do this like 10, 12 times a year.
Really? I would never have thought that.
And it's like, it seems to be the ultimate joke to play on the incoming, they don't call them freshmen, what do they call them, privates or whatever. And they just like randomly do this, that, once, twice a month, somebody shows up in the emergency room with a cue ball stuck in their mouth.
Wow. You taught me something new today. No, I was thinking about, people sticking.
Oh, yeah. I have a story here of a fish that has the exact same problem. The guy caught a fish and doesn't want to eat it now.
People do amazing things, don't they?
Oh, man. That's what the Asylum harps on. I mean, everybody else is covering the news of all the bad things happening over in Europe and gas and whatever else. We're the guys that are telling you about,
cue balls in the mouth and
the sexual assault or the sexual harassment case of the old bald guy.
Hey.
In England.
Nice qualifier you just put on there in England.
Well, I had to. I mean, that's where the story broke. But we're going to follow the same laws before it's all over.
And now we'll probably hear about people will jump on you because I said watermelon's okay to eat. And actually, when we're in a heat wave right now, right? Watermelon's actually one of the best things you could eat right now because it's going to rehydrate you. And by the way, it tastes pretty good. At least I think so. I love watermelon. We get one a week.
I want to point out what you just pointed out a moment ago without even realizing it. So there's three primary types of sugars. Yep. The worst kind you can get is the refined sugar that's, been bleached and everything else, and that is called sucrose. When you go to the hospital and you are dehydrated, they will fill you up with D5W, dextrose in water 5%. So it's a dextrose type of sugar, which is a little more simple. Fructose is the most simple sugar form there is, right? It's the easiest absorbed uptake, etc., in the body.
Our bodies have adapted for that because back in the day, when we were out hunting and gathering, we would gather berries and all that kind of stuff, and we gradually evolved over thousands and thousands of years. So exactly right, our body's going to absorb it, and it's not bad. Right, any sugar, whether it's dextrose, sucrose, whatever, too much of it's bad, right?
Right.
But you could say the same thing about anything, protein, fat, whatever.
I just got reminded there's a fourth, glucose. Sucrose, glucose, dextrose, and fructose. I forgot. Sorry, 4.
No, you like to go into the science. Wow.
No, somebody reminded me. Because I'd forgotten all about glucose, because that's the number that diabetics really pay attention to.
And when you talk about the different sugars, remember a couple of years ago, high fructose corn syrup was demonized. It still is, actually. It's sugar. It's really, it's different than table sugar, but it's sugar.
Yeah, it's just liquid, like, molasses is sugar.
Exactly.
Caramel is sugar.
It's kind of like honey, right? It's kind of like, I don't know, name it a sugar, molasses you mentioned, those type of things.
Or even the inside of a honeysuckle.
Yeah, it's all sugar, right? In our body, you could have
we even have special taste sensors on our tongue for this.
Exactly. It's all evolution that's come into play, right? But people demonize specific things like, again, I talk about the influencers. They'll sit there and say, you can't have, watermelon is the one in this case, but I've heard things like honey. You can't have honey. Honey's going to make you fat. And I'm sitting there going, are you kidding me? Honey is one of the best sugars you could have because there's other properties in it, right? Nutritionally speaking.
Certainly for the area that you're in, I understand. Like
local, yes.
Yes, if you drink or if you eat local honey, you have a higher resistance to things like colds or whatever from that area.
Pollen. It's pollen and allergies,
pollen-based,
right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it helps your immune system with that. And that's where, now when we're talking honey, that's exactly what we're talking about, local. That stuff in the bear that you see on the shore shelves, that ain't honey, first of all.
It's
and
colored
it
sugar.
sure as hell ain't. It basically is colored sugar, is exactly right. Spend a little bit more, get a high quality honey that's local. Maple syrup's another one, right? I've heard people demonize maple syrup. And again, if you drink a gallon of it or have a gallon of it on your pancakes, no, that could make you overweight. But a couple tablespoons or whatever on a pancake, one, it's not going to kill you. Two, there's some other medical benefits to it.
Oh, yeah.
And three, it tastes good. Stop demonizing things that we enjoy, right? You mentioned
demonize the mentality that abuses these things. Because just as you can abuse alcohol or abuse a person, you can abuse honey. You can abuse
anything. You can abuse Brussels sprouts. You mentioned them when we were on break.
Yeah, I can't. No.
I love them. My wife calls them little balls of dirt. She will not touch one. I love Brussels sprouts, but if you ate 2 bushels of Brussels sprouts a day, which again, physically impossible, but if you did, you could, in theory, be overweight, right?
Oh, what about Gaston? The legendary mythology of Gaston, who ate a dozen eggs, I think it was, every day. Remember him from, what was it, Beauty and the Beast, I think?
Oh, yeah, I was blanking there. Now I get, yes.
Right? Can you imagine that's a dozen eggs every day? That's 84 eggs a week.
That's doable.
That's what, 100 that's 320, 330 eggs. Nobody else in that town had a cake. You see what I'm saying?
Well, there's another beautiful example. If you remember back 15 years or so ago, eggs were demonized. They were going to kill you. They were going to shoot your cholesterol through the roof, especially if you ate a dozen a day. And I remember back then, I was eating not a dozen, but I would do 2 or 3 regular eggs and then probably a cup of egg whites for my breakfast, which, that works out to ballpark 10, 12 eggs probably. I don't know exactly, but I'm fine. I'm here. I'm healthy. My blood work is great.
Right.
But they demonized eggs for the better part of a decade. And then 5-6 years ago, all of a sudden it reversed because another study came out.
Science
which
learned more.
contradicted the first one completely. And the first one, by the way, if you actually read it, and I did, it was complete BS. It wasn't a double-blind study. It wasn't peer-reviewed at all.
It was a Lauren Boebert review. I'm sorry.
Well, I would go that Joe Biden did it, but hey. And then he forgot. Kind of like when he went to the Naval Academy, but apparently he didn't.
I don't remember. I don't recall.
Do not recall. But, that was my point with all of this is so many people, though, will watch that video I saw on TikTok and never eat watermelon again because they think they're going to die from it. Because that video had over 1 million views. And yeah, 1 million views.
This is why we can't have anything nice.
And thousands upon thousands of likes. And I watched a couple of her other videos and I'm like, this woman has absolutely zero nutrition expertise. And she's not a nutritionist. I've studied nutrition for 30 odd years. She clearly has no training, no education in it whatsoever. But people, they look at her. She's a beautiful woman. I'm not going to say she's not. And she's in shape. But she does not know what she's talking about. But yet million views. Now, if I go on TikTok and talk about it, I might get 100, and it's just funny. If you look, and I'm using TikTok, but you'll see it on Instagram, Facebook, all of them, right? These so-called experts are not experts. So, of course, me being me, because I am a smartass, posted on her thing. I put a comment going, are you a nutritionist? And she blocked me.
It's amazing what happens when you question the authority.
Yeah. Like immediately, like within seconds, I was blocked off the account. Which is why I can't share it now, because normally what I would have done is shared hers and then made commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she blocked me off of it. But I see so many people, and we see this with our clients. They'll come into us, they'll see something on, let's say, Facebook or whatever, and then start doing it and then let us know about it. And we're like, well, why are you doing that? Well, I saw it on Facebook. Well, so what,
What, Facebook gave you a degree in health and fitness?
Exactly. It's like.
And let me guess. You've been studying on Facebook University for all of a week.
Yeah, and they've got advanced degrees in Facebook knowledge.
This is where all my political experts come from too.
Well, that's true too, except me, of course.
Well, you come with a panel.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I was blown away. Get it?
Yeah. Well, that was a fascinating subject to me, actually. Because I went in completely neutral, knowing nothing. As I said on that show. I was full of hot air for sure. I'm going to use that on the next round. And I found it interesting, and as I said to them, I said, I'm an open book, teach me. And that's kind of what I do with anything, right? Especially things that I see, like we're talking about, is I'll go read the actual studies, which nobody else does. I'm a sicko. My wife laughs about it because she's like, what are you reading? I'm like, oh, I'm reading this study on, fill in the blank. And she just shakes her head at this point, because they're usually hundreds of pages long. They're as boring a thing as you'll ever read in your life.
They don't really. This is one of those reads that has no plot.
Exactly.
All it has is a premise and an explanation, and then what they did to get to that explanation.
And then what happens with those things is, so the study comes out, and the media is looking for something that's clickbait or that's going to get eyeballs on the TV or ears on the radio or whatever, kind of like us, right? And they'll write a headline with it. Such and such. Yep. Such and such is the reason, this study says such and such. This study says watermelon's bad for you. And then next thing you know, another news outlet picks up on it, and then another, and then another. And then they all start, it's a secular referencing, right? Well, newspaper A said this, so then newspaper A says, or B says it, and then refers to A. Then newspaper C picks it up, refers to B, which then refers to A, and they just keep going around and around when there's, in fact, nothing behind it, right? They become their own sources. Wikipedia is a perfect example of that. You go on Wikipedia and research stuff, you're in a rabbit hole you're never going to get out of, and a lot of it's phony. Right. And when you actually read the studies, they don't say that.
Or the section that is being blown out of proportion is usually a small segment, like
exactly.
Apparently, during the inoculation development a couple of years ago, they were saying that this was going to kill you, when in fact it was like it killed 1 in 300 million people because of an abnormal such and such. That it's not itself bad, but a bad combination with a person with this type of condition. And
then the other side, that's a good point you brought up. The other side of that is, like you said, it's 1 out of thousands.
Right. The people with this, and we look for it. We have that same caveat written on just about all of our medicine. For example, if you're taking heart meds and you have a heart condition, it'll tell you, hey, be careful with this and drinking alcohol, because we know that this is a combination.
And every single one of them causes anal leakage.
Well, that just brightened my day.
I always laugh. You ever watch the commercials? Every single one of them. Every drug they're advertising seems to have that in there. And I always laugh about it. And to your point, though, if one person has it out of a million subjects, they'll put it up there, right? Because legality wise, they got to cover their butt. So,
and that sort of extends from the watermelon concept all the way through to here. It doesn't allow for the understanding that, much like the aesthetic properties of a human being, their ability to metabolize is as genetic as eye color. So people ask me, you know, how it is at my age that I'm still in great shape and I do absolutely nothing healthy whatsoever. But I do stay active. I mean, you know, my job requires a lot of motion, et cetera, but I'm not, you know, actively drinking 8 cups of water. I mean, that stuff is death. You know, if it doesn't have coffee or sugar in it, you know, I'm not interested. Just leave me alone. But for the most part, you know, there are people that I know that are struggling eating like 2 beans and a slice of bread for their meal for the entire week, and they're still gaining 10 pounds. And it's not necessarily a criminal or a behavioral thing. It could be as simple as your situation. We are all unique.
Genetics and body type. Genetics and body type play a role. Now, are they the be all end all? No. Like for you, for example, you know, you say you don't work out, but yet I've seen you at work. You go nonstop. You are working out. It's just that your job is your workout.
Yeah,
you know, you may be sitting right now, but I've seen you, you know, setting things up, all that, and you're going 2 hours pretty hard, right? Or an hour or whatever. And that's burning calories. So you're doing it that way. It's just like someone, you know, who's out, I don't know, digging ditches, right? Which is what back in the day, back before, say, the 50s, 60s, 70s, everybody, we were an agrarian society. Everybody was outside working. They burned calories. You didn't need gyms back then. Now we're primarily in sedentary jobs, office work, if you will. And thus the whole gym industry came about. If you look at it, prior to 1970, other than bodybuilders and weightlifting, nobody went to a gym, really. I mean, there were a few, I'm not saying, you know, but that wasn't something you did. It wasn't until right around 1980, give or take, that you started seeing it explode. And then it showed up on TV. You know, there was Jack LaLanne before that. But, you know, in the 80s, then.
But you didn't have the P90X with the jam and thump line, or you didn't have the jazzercise with the hot chicks in the one piece.
You know, you had
the
Jane
bouffant
Fonda
hair. Remember that with the hair all. How did they keep? Never mind. How did they keep?
You know, you had Jane Fonda came along, who, by the way, if you, as a trainer, anybody who watches her videos, we just cringe. But Richard Simmons, I actually admire the hell out of Richard Simmons, what he did.
Yep.
He inspired millions. He's a positive, right? For every positive, of course, there's a negative. Jane Fonda is the negative. There was Denise Austin. She was great. They made a ton of money back then. But if they had done that in the 50s, it wouldn't have been what it was. Jack LaLanne did great, but there wasn't that.
Well, we still had an authoritarian approach to things, and Jack LaLanne was very much like a respectable authoritarian figure. That even my grandmother in her 90s was up at 8 in the morning doing her reaches. I'm trying, Jack. I'm trying.
Well, I'm hoping down the road on the Living Fit After 50 podcast that I will have a gentleman I know who's a trainer wrote a book with Jack LaLanne's wife about Jack LaLanne, and I'm hoping to have him on as a guest and possibly get his wife also. But we'll see down the road. That's a few weeks away. But I'm
that
working
dude
on
was
that.
Still chiseled out of marble when he was in his 70s. I mean, it was amazing.
He was in his 90s. He was. I mean, I think he died at like 91, 92, somewhere in there. But I know the story where he towed a rowboat from like Alcatraz with 4 people in it at 80 whatever years old over to the San Francisco shore. I mean, it's like
for fun. It's not like he was under duress and in a war or being shot at or anything. It's like, hey, this is a beautiful Saturday. Why don't I just, at the age of 80, when most people are having heart attacks, I'm going to throw 4 people in a boat behind me, and I'm just going to paddle my happy ass to the other side of this bay for fun.
And
did he get paid? Right? It's like some of the Red Bull guys, even the dude that jumped out of the airplane.
I'm sure he probably get paid for the event, but he's making money. He's making bank on it, obviously.
Right.
But you look at that, and there's a guy who basically, if you go back and watch some of his stuff from the 50s, and it's out there on the internet, he was talking about the same things I talk about now. It's just people listened to him back then. Now they drown us out because it's not sexy, right? Eat less, work out more is not as sexy as don't ever eat a watermelon again. And oh, by the way, do these 6 crazy exercises that a super fit person can't even do right. And somebody weighs 250 pounds and has never worked out in their life goes and does. And next thing you know, they're in the hospital with major injuries. It's just these influencers just set me off sometimes.
Next thing you know, they're on a chubby emu video.
There you go.
When you see this, dude, you are going to flip. You can just select any one of them, right? There's like a gamer dude, there are so many of them. And they're educational because it's not just... Because for me, the clickbait part of it is you get to make fun of a stupid person. That's always a joy, right? When somebody does something stupid, like walk right into a pole, you may love them to death. It may be your best friend. It could be your sister. It could be your mom. You're still going to laugh when they walk into the pole while reading their phone.
We're human beings. Of course we're going to laugh at it. And it doesn't make us bad that we laugh, which many people would call us horrific people for laughing. But, now
these go to the extreme where somebody, actually dies from this.
Well, that's different.
Well, it's still funny because once you get through the entire explanation of what happened inside the body, the failure of the organ, et cetera, you come to the realization that all of this could have been prevented by one person not paying attention to the stupid thing on Facebook that, hey, try this trick and you'll be fine or dead.
Yeah, like we talked about a couple weeks ago with the woman doing squats with 400 pounds in the Smith machine. She probably saw that on the internet, and no respectable trainer would have someone doing that.
I want a Kim Kardashian butt. How can I do,
Well, that you got to inject silicone in it. But hey, we won't. But there's another good point, right? People look at these influencers. They don't realize that a lot of them have had surgeries like that to enhance areas.
Or they have a makeup artist.
They have a makeup artist.
To draw the cute little clown face on them.
Yep, there are also photography tricks you can do. Like I remember when what was it? The thigh gap was all the rage. That was all airbrushing. They would airbrush it out. So X celebrity has a thigh gap, but when you actually looked at the photos, and I shared this, 2016, 17, somewhere in there. And I forget who the celebrity is. I can go find out. She shared, so she did a photo shoot for one of the women's magazines. So she shared the photo that the magazine had and then the actual original and how you could see the difference and what they had done with that photo. And, kudos to her for doing that. But you looked at it, and I knew they do this stuff ahead of time, but people were like, oh my God. But, they've forgotten about that already. Now, it's make you look good by any means. It's kind of like when I shoot a video to go on, say, TikTok, I may take 8, 9, 10 takes, right? But you're only seeing the good ones. You're not seeing the really bad ones.
That's why I rely on Elon Musk to send me videos of his, rockets crashing. He has a very good sense of humor about it. But yeah, you're right. The entire social media structure is based on presenting your best self to affect other people's worst selves.
Exactly. And that's what's driving a lot of, we talked about this before, it's driving the negativity and stress in people, but it's also causing physical issues because these influencers start peddling stuff that nutritionally is not sound. Forget appearance. If you're going to tell someone you can never have a piece of fruit again, or never have a carb again, or never have, fill in the blank, there could potentially be serious health issues because of that. I'm not saying it's a definitive thing that's going to happen, but there are people that will take that little kernel of information and take it to a real extreme. I can never have a single carb again. Well, nutritionally, that's not going to work, and I know people that have done that, and it's just, you just shake your head.
Well, why pay for a doctor when I can get all the information I need on Facebook and WebMD?
The scary part is some of the doctors buy into it too, because I've run into that. Because I won't mention names, but there was a doctor 2-3 years ago that I saw. It was kind of like, well, this is done. And I'm sitting there going, no, that's not true. By the way, I've studied nutrition for 30 years. Because what people don't realize, I don't think, do you know that how much nutrition studying a doctor does? Like how many courses?
Probably one.
So I used to train a world-class cardiologist. He worked on kids. He told me that his entire nutrition training, now mind you, he had a degree in biology, he had a medical MD degree, and then he had a specialty whatever, right, for his cardiac. 3-hour lecture, one. That was it.
Well,
Not even a full
was
class. 1 3-hour lecture in all, what are we talking, 12 years of training, give or take? 1 3-hour lecture. He goes, I don't know anything about nutrition. And he's a cardiologist. He goes, that's what, and what I loved about him is he said, that's what registered dietitians are for.
Right. And in his concern, he's not concerned about the diet. He's concerned about the amount of potassium versus sodium present at the at the atria or whatever the case may be.
But I see registered dietitians talking and giving fantastic information, and people dismiss it. Well, you don't know what you're talking about. Your training is from the 80s. I've actually had that one thrown at me. Now, I'm not a registered dietitian, but I've actually
we're a completely different animal than we were in the 80s.
Right. But, well, you're studied in the 80s. That information has all been debunked. Eggs are bad for you. And I'm like, oh, dear God. It's
cool.
You see that.
Eggs are bad for you. They're fine for me, so just send me your eggs and I don't have to pay for them. That's fine.
Right. But it's just funny how it all kind of works that way. And people who actually are subject matter experts get basically shoved aside for people that have no idea what they're talking about. Because
here's a comparison of all the people that are being, that are getting the clicks and the shares and whatever else. How many of them are aesthetically challenging?
That's a good one,
right? I mean, Dr. Fauci is not the Mr. Universe, but once you put somebody in a cute skirt and they can say whatever they want, and people are lining up in droves. This is the same with celebrities. This is the same with like the what's the guy's name? McConaughey had the blue glasses.
McConaughey.
Yeah, it's like, look, dude, you're an actor. You're a great actor. Shut the hell up and go act.
Yeah, and that's people.
The Dixie Chicks. I didn't buy your records to hear you be political at a concert. I bought your records to hear you chirp.
Well, it's funny because my favorite band is Pearl Jam, right? I've seen them in concert probably, 20 times. Usually they just play the music, but as I'm sure you know, Eddie Vedder is very political, and he'll start going on rants. Well, I've been at shows where the audience turned on him.
Right. We're not paying for that. You vote your way. You can have your opinions.
Right.
That's fine. Leave us the hell out of it.
Yeah. I mean, and, if you've ever been to a Pearl Jam concert, you can understand how dictators can get the power they do by the way their presence, because he just takes the room over, right? All credit to him for that, by the way. But I've seen instances where he, one was in like 2003, middle of the Gulf War, and he started ripping on Bush. And man, did the audience turn on him. And it was just like, be careful, dude. You're a celebrity. You're getting paid millions of dollars. Don't tell me that I have to worry about climate change while you have a private jet you're flying around in all over the place and that kind of stuff. He's a great musician. I love the music. His lyrics aren't bad. Some of them I don't agree with. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't have to agree on everything. But stop dictating to me that I have to do this while you're out doing it, or I can't do this while you're doing it.
Yeah, celebrity is not a credential to me.
It's meaningless. Most of them don't even have a lick of common sense.
And usually, as I've discovered in my working in media, that when you have a front person that's all cute and dolled up and made up and matching suit and fancy shoes with, the purse and whatever else, there's usually an ugly smart guy not far away. That's the guy you want to talk to.
Well, he's also got a gun, which they'll tell you can't have guns, but they all got their private security.
But yeah, right.
Yeah,
The unpacking it is that a lot of the information that's supposed to be expert level information is coming from
they're
people.
getting told by somebody.
Right, they're not being delivered by the smart person. They're being the whole. I think a great parallel is who was that lady that did the massive fraud on the blood testing machine?
Oh, I know who you mean. It'll come to me.
The only reason why she was able to do that is because of how she was able to dress and approach these people.
Yep.
Because she didn't have she had dropped out of college, so it's not like she's an expert in anything, right? She couldn't even hack it at 200 level. So for her to go on and continue to grift people, it's obvious. I mean, we've seen it from Fat 45 that grifting people requires no intelligence whatsoever. All it takes is preying on somebody's emotion, which is a lot of what these clickbait, like you said, oh my God, watermelons are going to kill you.
Yeah.
They go immediately for the knee jerk as opposed to, hey, let's be sensible about this.
Yep.
And this,
Take a step back.
It's almost like road rage happening in slow motion, that at any point the road rage could have been avoided just by saying, I'm sorry, or even paying attention and avoiding the situation in the first place. But instead, we are cultivated as a culture to overreact to the smallest of things.
Which is why a lot of times too that they'll put something in the headline to get you to react to it or comment or like or share or whatever, knowing that what they put in that headline is all you're going to read. You're not going to actually go read the article. I mean, how many times have you seen that where the article says the exact opposite of what's in the headline?
Or they'll click and they'll read like the first two or three lines, which is all they need for the advertiser to say, hey, look, somebody visited the page. They were there for 7 seconds, but they were there.
As I was saying to someone the other day, no one scrolls, right? If you click on something, they're going to read whatever shows up on their phone or their computer until they have to scroll down. Anything after that, the odds of them doing it are very slim. It's like Google, right? If you do a Google search for whatever, I forget the exact number, but somewhere in the neighborhood of around 80% look at only the first 3 items that come up. After that, you're off you might as well not exist.
It's too far away. It's like when I drop something on the floor at my age, I'm like, do I really need it?
Yeah.
Can I just go right past it?
You got your little thumb there and you might have to push up on the phone to make the screen go up. That's too much work for me, and that's why because I study marketing also, obviously being a small business owner, and I coach some people on small business, and I've told them, I said, look, realize that if you're not in the top 3, maybe 4, depending on the size of the phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
You aren't going to be found that way.
Not like for it.
Yeah, so spend a few bucks, pay for it, and get sponsored. That's why you always see, what was it, Walmart and Amazon? There was somebody that's posted up something like, how they have the top, they have the sponsored.
Right. Sponsored.
So whatever the item is, that's what, as soon as that comes up, that's what people buy.
And it's a bot that's put together. Like if you search for anything, they'll just put the word Amazon in front of it and then search the entire Amazon site for anything remotely. And then, hey, here's your search results. This has nothing to do with horses. Well, we couldn't find you a horse, but we found you this horse-like doll.
Yep. And by the way, it's triple the cost you would have paid if you'd scrolled down a little bit. It's like, but that's human beings these days.
There's 330 million people in the United States, and the average education, effective, boots on the ground education, is around the 8th grade. So the grifters
I didn't know that one.
Oh yeah, that's what we're taught in media. When you're presenting to people, you do not want to use big words because you will scare away your audience.
Yeah, that part I know. Yeah,
because their average comprehension level is that of a 7th or 8th grader.
Now, see, I was taught back in the day 6th grade, 6th grade or less. So is it gone up to 8th now?
I guess we're just allowing a little bit more credit than the rest.
Yeah, don't use big words. Yep.
Very simple concepts, short sentences.
Yep.
Unfortunately, a lot of I was raised in an engineering environment where a lot of concepts require specificity at a level that most people would never understand. And this is the type of conversation where when you get into things like watermelon, that you can get into the specifics of this dosage produces this much energy. You can actually extract the amount of calories per gram from that watermelon and show all of the components using like a mass spectrology gas chromatograph. Sorry,
call it mass spec and you'll be good.
My old mass spec, general mass spec, can tell you what's in there and what of it can be, organic or toxic or any of that nature in case it's, growing in some arsenic field or something, right? So our inability and I throw all this back to education, is that the curiosity has been stunted. Because when you're curious, you're going to understand those big words. You're going to understand potassium and sodium, and that sodium is not salt. Sodium is a caustic metal that will explode in contact with water. However, sodium as an element is needed in your body to transfer these signals back and forth, and sodium is broken down from what we know as salt, which is chlorine, which will kill you, and sodium, which will kill you. But when they're bound together and their valence electrons are in balance, your body will uptake this information or this material, break it into the component parts, and use it. But if you're not willing to understand the concept and the language necessary, there's over 180,000 words in the English language that are not science specific. So the concepts of uptake, the concepts of any of this stuff, which is why I love Chubby Emu's videos, because he explains it. So that somebody like me is like, oh, so the next time I see somebody in this condition, I can just put a little salt under their tongue, and within a few minutes, they'll start to take water back in, right? Or whatever that case was. I do need to take a bit of a break, and I am missing one guest. If you don't mind hanging out, I'll be right back after these messages.
All right.
You good with that?
I can go to about 9:30.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, I'm going to go replenish my coffee, take a quick news break, and we will be,
I thought you were going to say taking something else.
No. That coffee's way too important. I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know about Dan, but the rest of us will be. Hang on.
Keeping Charlotte informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach.
My name is Brian Wilson. I'm running for District Court Judge. During my lifetime, I've gone from protecting your God-given and constitutional freedoms as a combat vet of the U.S. military to working locally as a carpenter building homes while I worked my way through college. For the past 17 years, I've been protecting and defending your constitutional rights in the courtroom. I'm currently protecting our rights of our most vulnerable, our children, as the guardian ad litem attorney advocate for the children of Brunswick, Columbus, and Bladen County. I've spent my career serving our country, our state, and our communities, so I ask that you continue your confidence by voting for me, Brian Wilson, in the primary elections on May 17th. Thank you.
Folks, the sad truth of it is most of what we're seeing in the news cycle is just noise, and it's recycled noise at that. Nothing informative, nothing that actually helps us discern the times that we live in. That's why we started doing Heard Tell. Every morning right here on Big Talker Network, 7 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m., we talk and discuss the issues of the day, culture and politics with knowledgeable guests, no yelling, no caterwauling, just grown folk talk about the issues that matter. Join me, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning for Heard Tell.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. We have new information about alleged problems at Novant Health, New Hanover Regional Medical Center. Multiple sources from within the hospital say a patient died in their waiting room after waiting several hours for help. According to both patients who were there that night and emergency department healthcare workers, that patient died in Novant's waiting room on June 6th. One woman who was admitted due to an injury says she sat next to a woman in her 70s for 4 or 5 hours. As the patient waited, she watched as the woman's loved one walked back and forth to the front desk, begging for help. She says when she glanced over nearly 5 hours into the night, the woman had died. A hospital employee tells us the state is investigating. Novant has not responded to multiple requests for comment, and DHHS says to get that information, we will need to file a public records request, which we have. The third National PFAS Conference kicks off later today in Wilmington. Gen X was first discovered 5 years ago in Wilmington's drinking water when researchers from NC State and the Environmental Protection Agency started looking into the problem. Organizers say the conference series is designed to exchange information, support PFAS-affected communities, and help coordinate efforts among diverse sectors to speed up protection of community health and the environment. And Governor Roy Cooper has signed 3 bills into law, including 2 we've been following over the last few weeks. One new law increases arson punishments. Another makes changes to state laws governing captive insurance companies, which are subsidiaries of a parent company that is being insured. The third new law alters the state's Controlled Substances Act so that a drug containing marijuana or THC automatically becomes lawful in North Carolina if the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approves the drug. The change does not legalize marijuana for general use. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Trajectory forecast. Get ready for another hot one, but not as hot as it was on Tuesday. Highs away from the coast will climb into the low 90s, still remaining a bit on the humid side as well, so heat index values will get into the middle and perhaps the upper 90s away from the coast. Coastal areas will get into the low to middle 80s, very comfortable along the beaches today, and as we head towards the overnight hours tonight, our temperatures fall to the low to middle 70s under mostly clear skies. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
Tune in to the WWAY News at 6 p.m.
Thank you for joining us tonight for your news at 6. I'm Hannah Patrick.
I'm Randy Aldridge. We want to get straight to our WWAY team coverage of last night.
For the biggest and most compelling stories that make a difference.
On the scene shortly after the blaze began and has the story now.
Cleveland is one of the fastest growing towns in the country.
First court appearance this morning in Pender County.
WWAY News at 6 p.m. This is the place.
One Love Tennis started in 2013 to give back to young boys and girls. We now go through 460 kids a week that are learning about life skills, learning to succeed in life through academics and tennis. Putting those two together, if you do them well, you can write your own ticket. To get involved in this program, go to our website, one-love-tennis.org.
Hi, this is Justin Humphreys from the Humphreys Law Firm on Eastwood Road. Tune in Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m. for Objection to the Form, covering civil litigation, real estate issues, and intellectual property. That's Objection to the Form, Thursdays 6 to 7 p.m. right here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
All virtual. Kind of like this one. This one's a little freaky. Hey, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network, bigtalker.live. Please download the app for Android and iOS devices as we continue our conversation with Dan Roman. That's heavy. I like that. You should use this in your training.
I actually like that one too. So you should save that one for the Brunswick show. I like that one.
This one's pretty heavy. I like the way it builds. Anyway.
Yeah. Good working out one too. I could work out to that.
It sort of gets you into that. Anyway.
You know what's funny with we'll sidetrack this a little bit with music. So when I'm working out, I tend to listen to music like that most of the time. You ready for the laugh though? But sometimes I put on the light rock and listen to things like Sailing by Christopher Cross. And I have the best workouts to that.
That's not even like your cool down period?
No, it's like heavy lifting. My wife just leaves at that point.
Because I'm thinking like Five Finger Death Punch and Anthrax
that's what
and
I normally
Metallica.
Yeah. Or like my main lifting song, like if I'm trying to really PR or go super, super heavy, I'll either throw on, say, Cashmere or When the Levee Breaks, right? But there are times that I'm just not in the mood for that. And my guilty pleasure, everybody asks me, what's that one song you don't want anyone to know that you listen to that you like, is Sailing by Christopher Cross, who, by the way, can shred on guitar. And my wife just leaves, literally. She has left the studio at times when I'm doing that.
Yeah, it's time to go. He's taking over the radio dial. This is
Oh yeah, we fight. She likes disco, so I am so sick of disco music.
Oh, that would be perfect for the jazzercise crew.
Oh, they love it. Like, our clients, she puts the disco on because they're all in the age group that we're in or above, and they get into it and they'll start dancing and having fun and giggling,
skating
and
backwards.
But, I mean, I'm sitting there going, I cannot listen to this song again.
Oh,
But
well,
to
better
each
yet,
his own, right?
if you had your courses at the YMCA, you could really, capitalize on that.
Well, I did teach at the Y back in the day.
Did you use Macho Man or did you use the
We did-
YMCA?
oh yeah, we Macho Man, YMCA, all of them. That's why I'm so sick of them, because like any one of them. It's Raining Men. That's my wife's favorite song. That's her guilty pleasure song. I've probably heard it. Now, we've been together 11 years. I've probably heard it 10,000 times, and I'm not exaggerating, because she plays it every single day. I'm like, ugh.
Well, I know you have to go soon, so I'm gonna suggest there's a song you should put into your playlist to surprise people with.
Okay.
It's a small world after all. I promise everyone will hate you within a week.
Already done it.
Oh, okay.
Because my wife is only like 4'11", so I did a playlist. I had Short People, the Randy Newman song. I had It's a Small World. I had a bunch of the little ones. Yeah, I slept on the
Bug's
couch for
Life.
about a week after, but it was so worth it.
Oh man, I'm sorry we didn't get to concentrate on what we could do for April 1. That would have been. I'm sure there's some maliciousness between us that would be.
Oh, we could have a lot of fun with that for sure.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna plan next year now. So.
Sounds good.
I think I have to let you go because your time is about up.
I do have to go train someone, unfortunately, because I was having a blast with you, though. Always a fun time.
Well, thank you. And certainly since last night, everything feels a lot better than it did the last time you and I spoke on a Wednesday morning. Like, oh my God, I cannot believe that train wreck.
But it all worked out great last night. And if they haven't listened to the show, folks, go listen to it. We talked about wind, and it was fascinating, I thought. And there's next Tuesday, we're doing the cons. So we had the pros on last night. We've got the cons on next week. And I'll be interested to hear what they have to say, because as I said earlier, I'm an open book.
You're going to have Madison Cawthorn on the show?
Oh, God, no.
You said cons.
Cons, like in people who don't agree with wind power.
Oh, the cancer people and the dead bird people and the dead eagles and all that, which most of that was already discussed. So I can't think of too many cons.
Well, hear their perspective. Like I said, I'm an open book. I have not formed an opinion either way. I can honestly say that.
As a science nerd, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
But I think
kind of
I have a different approach.
Subject. Yeah. All right. So I will head off onto my day. You have an awesome day, and we'll catch up next week.
Push through it.
All righty.
Well, thanks again, Dan. Thanks so much for your time. Again, fun Wednesday morning. We will see you Tuesday, if not before. Calling anytime otherwise.
All righty, my friend.
You know where I'm at.
I do. Have a good one.
And for the rest of you folks, I think we're going to have fun because we're actually timing it up to be right about the top of the break. So please, if you would, go visit the website, and we'll get a hold of you, or we'll be right back after these messages. Right here on the Asylum, your refuge in the world. Gone mad. Don't go nowhere.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. We have new information about alleged problems at Novant Health, New Hanover Regional Medical Center. Multiple sources from within the hospital say a patient died in their waiting room after waiting several hours for help. According to both patients who were there that night and emergency department healthcare workers, that patient died in Novant's waiting room on June 6th. One woman who was admitted due to an injury says she sat next to a woman in her 70s for 4 or 5 hours. As the patient waited, she watched as the woman's loved one walked back and forth to the front desk, begging for help. She says when she glanced over nearly 5 hours into the night, the woman had died. A hospital employee tells us the state is investigating. Novant has not responded to multiple requests for comment, and DHHS says to get that information, we will need to file a public records request, which we have. The third National PFAS Conference kicks off later today in Wilmington. Gen X was first discovered 5 years ago in Wilmington's drinking water when researchers from NC State and the Environmental Protection Agency started looking into the problem. Organizers say the conference series is designed to exchange information, support PFAS-affected communities, and help coordinate efforts among diverse sectors to speed up protection of community health and the environment. And Governor Roy Cooper has signed 3 bills into law, including 2 we've been following over the last few weeks. One new law increases arson punishments. Another makes changes to state laws governing captive insurance companies, which are subsidiaries of a parent company that is being insured. The third new law alters the state's Controlled Substances Act so that a drug containing marijuana or THC automatically becomes lawful in North Carolina if the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approves the drug. The change does not legalize marijuana for general use. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Get ready for another hot one, but not as hot as it was on Tuesday. Highs away from the coast will climb into the low 90s, still remaining a bit on the humid side as well, so heat index values will get into the middle and perhaps the upper 90s away from the coast. Coastal areas will get into the low to middle 80s, very comfortable along the beaches today, and as we head towards the overnight hours tonight, our temperatures fall to the low to middle 70s under mostly clear skies. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
We need judges who serve we the people, not self-interested career politicians. This is Jenny Statting, wife of Judge Michael Statting, your conservative candidate for North Carolina Court of Appeals. Michael is a former prosecutor, sitting Republican judge, and a reservist in the United States Air Force. Michael is a lifelong public servant. That is why I'm asking you to remember to vote for Judge Michael Statting, your conservative candidate for North Carolina Court of Appeals. Paid for by the committee to elect Michael Statting. Michael Statting is a reservist for the United States Air Force. Use of job title does not imply endorsement by the Department of Air Force or the Department of Defense.
Folks, the sad truth of it is most of what we're seeing in the news cycle is just noise, and it's recycled noise at that. Nothing informative, nothing that actually helps us discern the times that we live in. That's why we started doing Herd Tell. Every morning right here on Big Talker Network, 7 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m., we talk and discuss the issues of the day, culture and politics with knowledgeable guests, no yelling, no caterwauling, just grown folk talk about the issues that matter. Join me, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning for Herd Tell.
Listen to Tom Goolsby on The Chad Adams Show.
People with common sense know that the entire theory of socialism is one big lie.
The Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Well, I will just continue as usual, because apparently my mixer has decided to shit the bed on me, which is more fun than I can really let you know about. But even without my music, I will just do what I can to get you back, have some fun with it. Let's see. What do we have here? Let's try something like this. Nope, okay. Never mind. I don't know why it's all down there. This thing's being stupid. Oh, this is ridiculous. Do we not have anything? No, I didn't think so. Everything's just decided to die while taking a quick soda break, trying to get my stuff together here. Of course, I'm still lost. Isn't this awesome? It's not even in here. All right, so we'll try it through. I don't even know where my other windows are. Damn it. Let's see. Still working on it. Still working on it. I lost the phone number. That's what's happening. And I'm trying to see, because he hasn't called me, and I'm going to call him, see if one of us forgot it to call the other. There we go. I think I have something working here. Well, let's see what happens. Oh, I still don't have a mixer. Never mind. Never mind. I don't know why my mixer is not working. But with one more adaptation and a couple of new cables, and I'll fix this. I do it to everything else. I'm still kind of stuck without music at the moment, so, waiting to see if there's any kind of network I can join. Oh, this thing is being stupid. But hey, that's par for the course, Have a great show last night, then this morning during my show, everything decides to just and leave me with 20 minutes of nothing else to do because my mixer has decided to just not function for whatever reason. So, we're just going to forget that and see if we can transfer to a different system. Yeah, you get to enjoy all the behind-the-scenes stuff. Come on, man. Come on now. Oh, this is just aggravating. All right, well. Okay, we got some sound. Come on, computer, here we go. Here we go. Oh, look at that. None of the buttons are working. What's going on here? Come on. Any of them working? There we go. Look, hey, we got stuff working again. All right. Now we're going to try it again and see if we can get our guest on here. Hey, what a morning. We're trying, baby. We're trying. call that, baby. There we go. The phone system and everything else, man. Unbelievable. Good morning, sir. No. Still checking. Oh. It is a busy day. It's going to be the third National PFAS Convention. Now that better catch up with everybody. That's all I gotta say. Unfortunately, I do not think we have a
Sorry, I'm unable to take your call.
Oh,
right.
rats.
Please leave a message.
Yeah, he's probably already set up and ready to do the PFAS convention, and I'm probably the idiot who forgot about it, and my computer was, failing. Just to show that to me. Now my other computer is giving me issues. I don't care anymore. You're not going to work, just don't work. How's that? Let's just make an agreement. If you're going to be difficult, just leave me alone. All right. Another 19 minutes. No new news because I've already roasted all the news that was there. Yeah. Yep. Everything's just a little sideways. Only because it's here in my own shop. When I do this for other people, it works out absolutely fantastic, as discovered last night from All Things Brunswick. Did a dual remote guest, one in Cary, one in Bolivia. Handled everything here in Holly Ridge. About to do another live show tonight. The Voice and the Pen at the Waterline Brewery. The show starts at 7. We start streaming it on the Big Talker around 8. Actually, we take the live stream at 7. We take the audio on Big Talker Network at 8. 7 o'clock is when radio was on our audio stream. Picking up Voice and Pen from 8 to 10. Then I believe Consumer Choice Radio before we go into the replay of when radio was. So, that's the takeaway for that one. I'm not sure what all these other issues are that the computer is giving me, but I'm not really worried about it at the moment. I have a few hours to fix it before the show tonight. Tonight is 6 showcase performances, one right after the other. And it should be fun. I mean, it's fun every week. I think it is. I mean, it's been fantastic for me. Saturday morning, Paul Vallone, who is on Monday, who is our guest Monday morning, will be on Saturday morning, or Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock. Consumer Choice Radio premiere will drop Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Developing more new material. So if you have a show, want to do a show, give us a call. We can do some funky, fantastic production. Again, I'm not the morning guy. I mean, I'm doing it because I'm in the seat and I can make it happen. But the better shows are usually done by people who actually do shows and have shows to do. I'm just going to tell you about the pitcher plants in Cambodia, right? That's if you haven't heard about this yet, you need to go to the Googles there and just type in Cambodia pitcher plant, pitcher like a water pitcher plant crisis. Cambodia crisis, pitcher plant crisis. You'll see what I mean. That's the type of news we give you right here on the Asylum. Unfortunately, I have burned out just about all of those news stories that are worthy. There are other news stories that are included in that, but very few of them do I want to bother with because I think they are just beyond stupid. Like announcing, because a lot of these stories are people who won lottery tickets. I mean, just the lottery is just a bad idea in the first place. One story I haven't, because I don't want to, but I need the time, so here we are. NASA announces first ever study on UFOs for national security and air safety. Now all of a sudden everybody's taking aliens seriously. Does all of this mean no one was paying attention to it before, or they've just decided to start letting us know? I'm not sure which would be preferable. The thing is about UFOs and traveling and stuff is that very few people are paying attention to the math. Think about it. If there is an alien in a craft traveling at, say, the speed of light, he would have to be, what, about, let's go 70, yeah, about 70 years, 70 light years away would he start hearing our first broadcast of World War II. But as it gets closer, right now he's within 40 light years, right? Because that's going to take 10 years to travel the to go from 50 light years away to 40 light years away is a 10-year travel at the speed of light. By that time, he'll be receiving radio transmissions. Let's see, 40 years ago would put us in the 80s, and they're hearing disco and hair metal. If he hasn't turned away yet, he gets to experience grunge in another, 10 years? And that's traveling at the speed of light. With what light that we can detect from other planets and stars getting to us, right, there's nothing that's going to get here faster than light. So if an alien left at the same time the light did, right, and it takes us 200,000 years to see the light from that particular star, that person, the alien, has to travel at extremely faster than speed of light, which, we still haven't determined if that can even be done, right? So within the current understanding of mathematics and the heavens, the mechanics of getting from one end of the universe to the other doesn't happen like we seem to think it does in the movies. Gal Gadot doesn't just naturally have this glow around her that protects her from space and allows her to fly. That's a movie. UFOs, all of that, movie, crap. When you see videos, right, and a guy tried to hand me a video going, that's a UFO, that's a UFO. I said, no, it's not. You shot this in your car, didn't you? He said, yeah, I shot it out the side window. I said, what you are seeing is the reflections of your dashboard in the slightly curved, reflected in the slightly curved side window. So as you're moving the screen around, your camera around, I wasn't moving the camera. Yes, you were. If you were, unless that thing was on a tripod, that camera was moving, right? And the hand movements, right, as still as you try to make it, is still going to have, it was just sitting there like vibrating, and then it just shot off to the right. Yeah, because you moved your camera to the left. That's what happened. How many of those have been debunked just by sitting it down in front of an editor and saying, all right, let me see this video up close and personal? I know how glass works. I know how reflections work. I know how lenses work. Right? Another one was proven to be a lens flare, where basically the light of a street lamp off to the side was at just the right angle to reflect off the side of the lens to send an image into the center of the screen that wasn't actually there. And because his hand is vibrating just a little bit and shaking just a little bit, it looked like it was hovering and jerking and jumping around and flew off. We have enough to worry about on our own planet. Just stop with the UFOs and just, no. You're being stupid. This is along the lines of blaming the president for gas prices. This is that kind of stupid. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene type stupid. This is Matt Gaetz level stupid. This is Madison Cawthorn level stupid. This is Pelosi level stupid, all right? NASA announces first ever study of UFOs for national security and air safety. No, what it is a distraction wrapped up and decorated like a burrito that's nice and tasty and ready for everyone to consume. And while you guys are busy consuming and wiping the salsa off of your chin, the next thing you know, we're going to have boots on the ground somewhere in Europe. Or maybe it's something else. You know, I mean, whatever it is they're distracting you from, this would be one of the cards to pull out of the stack to get people up and going. Right? So, I don't even want to hear that. And it's the perfect filter. So the moment somebody starts talking UFOs to me, I take off a sock, I hand it to them, and I walk away. Usually I'm walking to my car to get another sock. Because if you're going to be that ridiculous in conversation, I promise you, I will return the favor. It's only fair, right? If you're going to come at me with something stupid and ridiculous and ludicrous, etc., I'm going to return the favor by giving you one of my socks. Mid-conversation. I will just slip off my shoe, slip off the sock, hand it to you, and walk away. Because I don't need the crap you're giving me any more than you need my dirty sock in your hand. So, this explains why I don't get along with people very well, because they want to talk about stupid stuff that just as a nerd, right? I mean, y'all tease us nerds because, you know, maybe we're not cute, maybe we're not attractive, maybe we're not sexy or desirable, but we're a hell of a lot smarter than you are. So when you're out there, you know, burning up your starter trying to start your car, and we can tell immediately that you have vapor lock, but you're not going to figure it out. We're just going to sit there and laugh. Screw it. Why help you? All you've done is humiliate and embarrass us and, you know, make fun of us for being geeks and nerds, right? Which is a form of bullying. Have at it. It doesn't mean that I have to do anything to save you. And sometimes that's difficult to sort of reconcile, right? Found myself at a gas station. A super rich person had bought a brand new car, was sitting at the gas station, had no idea how to get the gas into her car. My first reaction, don't buy it if you can't drive it. And if you can't handle if you don't know your car, right? That's the way it was when I was a kid, right? Dad was like, you're not going to drive this car until you know how to change the spark plugs and change the oil and take care of the vehicle. Right? Now the car manual says don't drink the battery acid. And I was very, very torn. Here's a woman with more dollars than sense. And she's asking me with absolutely no money, but obviously a hell of a lot more sense than she does. I said, hey, this is the new car, isn't it? She says, yes, because it took me a second to say, yeah, I'm going to help. I said, cool, let me see the manual. And I don't know this car, and I could never afford a car like this, so I'm not going to just go punching things in the car. I'm going to open up the manual. Hey, what a novel concept. Pop open the manual. Hey, this is how you get the gas tank. This is where it is. This is how you get to it. Oh, hey. But then I went one step further, and I don't think the woman appreciated this part. I said, ma'am, may I show you? And I think she was just expecting me to, like, free pump her gas or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, just fill it up. No. I got my own car. I got my own. No. I got your gas tank open. The rest of it's on you. This isn't no full serve, right? I helped you out by introducing you to the one thing in your car that you can't figure out, which is how to get gas into it. I am not your full-service gas station attendant. Do not mistake my kindness for servitude. Oh, you mean I have to... Oh, yeah. Here's your tank. Here's the gas pump. If you can't take it from here, you need to talk to the manager of the gas station. Maybe they can help you get gas into the car, because I am not being paid or compensated or recognized in any way for getting fuel into your vehicle. I am not responsible for it. I am not interested in it. I have nothing to do with it. That's what really pissed me off. Because helping the person in the first place was already almost a violation of my own personal mantra, if you will. If you can afford $120,000 or $60,000, whatever, if you can afford this kind of vehicle and you don't know how to put gas in it, that's not anybody's fault but your own, man. Why are you taking it out on me? And if somebody like myself does extend a little bit of a helping hand to say, here's where the gas goes and here's how you get into it, and then you expect me to pump your gas for you? I don't know if there are any full-service stations left. I really don't care. I am not it. I have worked at a full-service station when I was younger. But no, I am not doing it now. One guy was like, she might have given you a tip. I doubt it. Right? Here's one thing I've learned about really rich people is that they stay rich by not giving it. They might tithe a few dollars at the Sunday collection plate. Right? But no, they'll walk right by a working musician. These are the ones that'll order like $1,000 worth of food at a restaurant we're playing at and not even recognize. They might nod at us as they leave the restaurant. No tip. No. And the tip they give the waitress is going to be exactly 14.78%. But when you get to the gas station and they're helpless, they're going to expect you to wipe their butt for them. No. There are some things you're going to have to learn to do on your own. Believe it or not, the world is not here to serve you. Helping one another is one thing. Serving one another is completely different. So if I'm helping you, that's one thing. But if if you are expecting me to serve you without some sort of arrangement being put up ahead of time, leave me alone. I'm not going to help you again, that's for darn sure. Because anytime I help you and you expect some sort of servitude from me, we have a breakdown in communication. And I am not going to roll with that. Not at all. All right, I'm going to cut a little bit early because we do have a very big show tonight at the Waterline Brewery under the bridge, right? You're going to want to come out and see this. There's a lot of fantastic singer-songwriters, 6 to be exact. That's more than a handful for you guys that are looking at your opposable thumb like, is this really a finger or not? Yeah, it is. Oh, hey, I got to do this. Then I do this, and then I do that. Oh, gosh, I love this thing when it works. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for the Asylum this morning. Right here on the Big Talker Network, bigtalker.live. Please visit the website. Send us an email with any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, or compliments you may have so that we can improve and meet the needs of your or our listening, our area, whatever, So we will see you all tomorrow. Take care, and bye-bye.
keeping Southport informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach.